And welcome to Women Crush Wednesday on the Red Bra Project channel. You might notice I'm missing my counterpart tonight, Renee. She is busy at work and we're going to miss her terribly because I know she was equally excited to talk to our guest tonight, Vanessa Palencia, who we are so excited to have on our channel tonight on episode 18 on our Women Crush Wednesday series. So hi, Vanessa.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for doing this tonight. We're honored to have you on our channel. And can you tell, our followers a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into some more questions.
My name's Vanessa and I'm 24 years old. I actually live right now over here in Rhode Island. It was a Cali girl, but I'm getting used to the weather over here. And I am hard of hearing, so if you guys also hear me say a lot of words or just kind of having a questioning mark, it's usually me trying to get a little more understanding and leaning in. As well as, let's see, what else would I say? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I was a teenage single mom for a bit, and I absolutely love just encouraging other women who are watching this. I love trying to get people to just embrace themselves for who they are. So you'll see that all on my Instagram page.
100%. I was telling you just before we went live, just watching your page, you are so incredibly inspiring. You have so much self-confidence in yourself, and you really just instill that in others. Where does that come from?
Honestly, it just came from a lot of personal development, because if you would have probably caught me maybe 2 years ago, I was not there. I was not confident. And although I wouldn't really quite say that I'm 100% confident, because I do have my days, but it just took a lot of self-work, a lot of internal work on that. So I would have to say it does take work to get there. Yeah, just a lot of just internal work on that. I don't know how else to describe it. A lot of self-help books and...
No, that's great. I mean, I think it's important for our audience to know that, there is the possibility of still working at it. Maybe, walking through your page and seeing how confident you are, that they can get there too. That it's not just something you were born naturally with, that it is something we all kind of have to work with.
Exactly.
You mentioned at the beginning, that you are hard of hearing. And I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that. Can you share just kind of some of your experiences and what that's been like? Maybe, in just moving through adulthood and into the entrepreneur that you are now.
Yeah, so I was actually born completely deaf in my left ear. I just usually have this just because I don't like this dingling, so I have it in there.
Makes sense.
And I actually have severe to moderate to severe hearing loss in my right. But ironically, it was just enough hearing for me to be able to have grown up being able to speak and being able to talk and being able to hear some parts of the world enough for me to get by. I was not diagnosed until I was about 4 years old. Unfortunately, I was born right before the time that they started the hearing test on newborns. So it's been a struggle in the sense that, I've had to rely a lot on lip reading. And growing up as a school-age kid, I had to have an FM system. I don't know if you know what that is.
No, I'm not familiar.
So an FM system is it's a box, very bulky, about probably this size. And the teachers had to wear that and put it on. I had a little microphone up on here, and I had to, switch on my hearing aid to a certain setting so that I could be able to hear. And I think that had a lot to do with my low self-esteem growing up.
Sure.
Because, when you're kind of cast out, when you're sort of marginalized, just you're not represented in society, especially that too in media, you tend to feel a little outcast. And so I think that had a lot of, growing up, a lot to do with my low self-esteem, and a lot to do with, even me growing up with a little bit of an eating disorder and a low body confidence and stuff like that. And so it took a lot of working on that and having to just work around that. And unfortunately, most of my high school friends did not know, at least not that I know of, did not know that I was hard of hearing. I wish I could have told them though.
Wow. So, I mean, first of all, it's incredible that you spent 4 years and nobody really knew that you couldn't hear them. So was that something that your parents pushed, or was it like the school test that you guys found out?
From what I remember my mom telling me, it was more of like, I think I want to say that it was someone from her church that told her, hey, have you thought about possibly just checking her out? Because I guess they thought that I was just being a brat and wasn't listening to them.
Yep.
They'd be like, oh, Vanessa, she's not listening again. And I'm like, like, but I guess someone caught on. It's like, this is a little too much for her to really not be listening to you that much. And so, yeah, she took me in, and sure enough, the doctors were like, yeah, she's got a hearing problem. She has a hearing disability. And my mom was in shock, but it made sense.
Yeah. So you said your friends didn't know. You weren't wearing a hearing aid. You were pushing through. You were persevering. You're like, I'm going to do this without. And is that how you became so strong at lip reading?
Well, in high school, so what I did was so first of all, growing up as a kid, up until about 6th grade, I wore colored hearing molds. So you'd see me sporting like pink or blue or a mixture of colors, and I loved that. I used to love being able to pick out my colors. It was just a fun thing for me. Until one day when I was in about, I want to say 4th grade, I was wearing a bright pink hearing aid mold, and a teacher had started yelling at me. It was probably must have been in 4th grade. Started yelling at me, and of course, being an introverted person, very shy person, I was so just nervous and just scared. And he was yelling at me, and of course, because I couldn't hear him, I didn't understand what was going on until he came closer and was on the verge of sending me to the principal's office because he thought that I had put gum in my ear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And once my friend kind of stood up for me, was like, hey, no, it's her hearing aid. And he was like, oh. And then just walks off, didn't even
I
apologize.
was like, where's the apology?
I know. And because of that, ever since then, I wore clear hearing molds. And I never wore my hair up again after that. And so that's how I guess I'm kind of hid my hearing disability throughout high school, is just never showed it. And if it slipped up a little bit, they were like wondering, why aren't you hearing this? I would just play dumb, or I would just try to, change the conversation and not even acknowledge it, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry about that, but I know a little bit because we kind of do a pre-show intake and stuff, and so you've become more confident with that now, and one of your largest supporters is your future husband. Is this correct?
Yes. And it's funny, he says that my hearing disability is one of the things that he actually absolutely loves about me, and I never thought that would be something that could be loved by somebody, and so that idea, when he told me that when we were still dating, just sort of kind of changed my perspective on it. It was like, oh, okay. And ever since then, I've just become more and more comfortable with just wearing my hair up. And I do that so much more than I used to. And I think that in and of itself has really just boosted my confidence all that much more. But it's like, oh, this isn't something to be ashamed of. It's okay. And then from that, just kind of skyrocket into, you know what, like if I can make that happen for somebody else, I would love to do that.
Yeah. Oh, you found someone that loves the whole person, Like, that's the dream. That's the Prince
Yeah.
Charming, or, your Cinderella moment. So,
Yeah, definitely.
one thing that I'm inspired by is your entrepreneurship and just this magazine. Can you talk a little bit about where this came from and how you and your girlfriends kind of started this?
Yeah, so actually it's funny because it actually started more as a joke when I was probably a sophomore in college.
Okay. It's a good joke.
Yeah, we were just tossing around ideas. We're just like, could we really, even though as sophomores, we were already kind of planning ahead. We're like, obviously after college, what's next? Obviously we have to get a job, we have to do this, all that stuff. And that idea didn't really appeal to us. And we're just like, what if we could just, like we were bantering. It's like, what if we could just make our own thing and just make this happen and make this work? And the more and more I thought of it, like, it was like, I went home one day, I was like, well, yeah, why not? Like, the thought appeared to me, it's like, well, I mean, what about magazines? Because in that stage of my life, I was so consumed by Cosmopolitan.
Who
And,
isn't?
yeah. And I used to be so drawn into it. But then the more I noticed was that there was a lot of, I felt a lot of emphasis on just things that weren't really necessary to growth. And I was like, well, where's the real help? Where's the real conversations? You know what I mean? And so it started as an idea of like, why don't we create a magazine that's more real and vulnerable to our audience? It's something that everyone can relate, because sometimes you can't relate to half the stuff that's in Cosmopolitan. It's
No,
just
you really can't. I mean, and most of us don't look like the models in there either. So,
exactly. And so we decided, you know what, if we can create a magazine that helps empower and encourage women through the stories we've been through, because what better way to help someone else through a breakup than someone who's actually been through a breakup, or someone who is maybe feeling a little discriminated in the work field than someone who actually has been and had gone through it. You know what I mean? So it's a place, we've created a place essentially where women can come together and voice their experiences and stories to help empower and build one another from that. And so I love what we have going on for that.
yeah, I love it. And I love that on your page, it says right there that there are so many lessons in everybody's struggles that, it's not just you go through this for a reason, and other people can, hopefully learn from not your unfortunate circumstance, but there's ability for others to grow from it. And I think it's beautiful that you guys are featuring that.
Thank you.
One question that we'll always ask on here is like, so we describe the red bra as your superhero cape, and you have so many, I think, moments, but if you could pick just one, what do you think that moment is for you?
The red bra moment for me, I'd want to say is, and it maybe just sounds very small, but it was just opening up about my hearing disability on my Instagram page, because I still have a lot of old high school friends or old coworkers of mine that follow me on there and that are very active with what I post. And it was, I think, very hard for me to like put that out and be vulnerable in that sense, and really open that door for conversation, not just for me, but for everyone else who may be curious, and for everyone else who's been in my circumstance and really just learn from that. So I think that might have been my moment, in the sense that it just kind of helped me, but knowing that it's potentially helping somebody else. Yeah.
That's awesome. Who are those other women in your life, besides maybe the women that you work at the magazine with, but who are those women that empower you daily to give you that self-confidence and that strength?
I would have to say first would be my mom. And I know that sounds so cliche, but she is literally, and she is probably the only person that I know that has the biggest bleeding heart that I've ever known. She has helped so many people from wherever they are at in life. And it's just, and I remember as a teenager, I used to not understand, I used to not get it. But obviously now as an adult, it's something to be admired. And I love that about her. And she inspires me every day to be that same level of a bleeding heart. And another person that I would probably say that it helps empower me is my best friend Claire. She is amazing. She's a single mother as well, and she just empowers me in the sense like she's going through so much right now to create a life for her and her daughter, and without her just outgoing personality to help balance out mine, I just would not be who I am right now. So I'm thankful for those two.
That's great. You've mentioned that you were a single mom. You have had this hurdle with your hearing loss, and how do you push through fear? How do you just get up every day and say, I'm going to conquer the world today? Because I feel like on your Instagram page, you're conquering the world. You have this strong sense of self that is just, like I've said the whole time, it's inspiring. And how did you overcome these hurdles that have been thrown at you and not get angry?
So I push my fear through just facing them, I guess, first of all, but also just really knowing that I'm in charge of my life, and just really understanding that, I'm the one that is in charge. I have the choice that I have to make. And fear is more of just a state of mind. You know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
overcome that. You have to really just overcome that obstacle and just get into that positive mindset. Because without that positive mindset, you can totally let fear control you and just overcome everything. You know what I mean? And especially the single mother. I mean, I was scared when I found out that I was pregnant. I was pregnant at 16. And I think there was a lot of fear going on inside of me. And I think I had to really look at the positive for that, for example. You know what I mean? I had to be strong and understand that, you know, no matter what, yes, it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to make it through. And that's what matters. I'm going to be a mother, and I'm bringing life out into this world. And so when you shift that perspective, you really get to see the light at the end of the tunnel, per se. And
yeah. It's such a positive, you know, statement, just that you control how you feel. And I'm sure looking at your child now, you're like, I can't imagine my life without you. And and it doesn't look like a hurdle when you have that child there and you realize the blessings that have really come from that. So we always ask our guests, you know, for book recommendations, and you mentioned an author that continuously pops up, which is Gabby Bernstein. And she is just, I mean, at one point we're going to have to connect her somehow to the Red Bra Project, because I don't think she realizes how many guests she's like impacting. So
she is, and I honestly don't remember how I came upon her, but I started off with another book of hers, been the book that I had just recently read, The Universe Has Your Back. That was the recent one I read, and oh my gosh, it is probably the most mind-blowing book that I've ever read, in the sense that it really she really asks you to look inside, really face everything, every fear, every judgment, every negative feeling and thought processes, and just overcome them. And she's just amazing. She really is.
Yeah. So, of course, we end every show with a quote, and I feel like she's going to be our featured quote person on here, because when I saw that book, I was like, I know there's got to be something that relates perfectly to what you've been going through. And so it says, let it all go, expect miracles, wait without anxiety, and know that the universe has your back, which I think is the message of that book. But I just feel like you have demonstrated that in so many ways. Like you've had to let go of pulling your hair up and letting the world see who you really are, which is a beautiful woman that is conquering the world. And I know we're going to see you do even more amazing things. And so grateful that you joined us on here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We are going to link up your page on our page so that everybody can follow your magazine, your Instagram, and any other outlets that we can connect you to Vanessa if you connected to her story in any ways based on her hearing loss, single mom, entrepreneur. She's doing it all. We're happy to make that connection for you. And we also will have her blog on our website. We're going to do a blog of her on our website. And so thank you again for joining us tonight. To our followers, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so that you get reminders. And remember that every Wednesday we're featuring wonderful people like Vanessa, and we're so glad she could be here tonight. Thank you again, and have a great night, Vanessa.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye. Bye.